First of all, I just want to thank my sponsors. The Tile Money, podcast is sponsored by the NTCA and Laticrete International. And thank you for the support. It means a lot, you guys. It really does. It shows that you care about the industry and about the contractors who are, really the backbone of this industry. That's why I do this podcast. Is I thought, for years I was a contractor, a struggling contractor, and I found success by listening to podcasts. It really helped me. And I thought, I've got to do this, and I've got to, at least give it a shot and see if anybody's listening. So thanks to the NTCA and Laticrete for spending their dollars and helping Tile Money stay alive. And I'm always looking for more sponsors, partners, really. So if anybody out there is wanting to know how to do that, you can get a hold of me. So the first question came from Instagram, and I thought I would touch on this one first. And Shannon asked, how do you leverage social media for sales? And she mentioned that she listened to the Ken Balin episode. So I won't focus on Facebook. I'm going to focus on Instagram. And, for me, for the sales portion of Instagram and marketing on Instagram, it was always a local effort. In other words, I didn't really care so much about expanding my reach beyond my local territory. And so what I focused on doing was connecting with architects, designers, all other tradespeople, electricians, plumbers, landscapers, all the tradespeople locally I could find. I would connect with them. I would always put them on my feed. I would follow them. I wouldn't follow people, really that many people from other states, other counties, because in my opinion, I was on there for business. I was on Instagram for business. Now, there's something to be said on, the community aspect of finding tilers that you connect with and things of that nature. Certainly there is, but strictly when you want to talk about business and you want to talk about growing and expanding, be social with local people. And I'll tell you about a trick I did. Not a trick, but I'll tell you about one method that I used to do this even further than I was doing just on my Miller Tile and Stone page. You can go look at my page and see how I did it. I did a lot of, every third post, I did a family picture, at a local scene. If I went to a restaurant, I tagged the restaurant. I found the restaurant. I got the restaurant involved, things of that nature. I started conversations. I had lots of DM conversations with local contractors, architects, whatever. I went back when she asked, I went back in that old feed, that Miller Tile and Stone Instagram account, and I was searching through my DMs, and it was like every other DM was with a local person, not necessarily, somebody from the network of tilers. And so that's really what I focused on there, was really attempting to connect locally. And that's basically what it's there for. It's there to be social. It's there to show your face and your personality and connect on a local level. Now, to take it a step further, I'll give you this story of what I did with another Instagram account I made. I kept listening to these podcast episodes back then, and they were, specifically this one realtor, they were talking about how really what you're doing is you're building a marketing company that just happens to sell tile installation. So once I shifted my mindset like that, is everything, then I started searching, okay, marketing company first. And the tile installation was just the byproduct of actually my efforts and the marketing. And so I started researching what's hot on Instagram, what's working, what's hot. And I saw food. Food was hot. Foodies. I'm in Central California. I mean, everybody's a foodie, right? We're talking about sushi. We're talking about raw food. We're talking about organic food. We're talking about, all kinds of this stuff, vegan, whatever, good steak. I'm a meat eater myself, but I enjoy everything. I eat just about anything you can put in front of me. So, and I enjoy restaurants and I enjoy cooking. So I saw food was a hot topic on Instagram, taking pictures of food and things like that. And then I also kind of combined that with local efforts to connect community. And so I created a page, and I forget what it was called at the moment, but it was something local name that people would recognize. We had this local name. It was San Luis Obispo. So we had this local name, SLO, slow that everybody, in the area, because it was really, a lot of different cities, smaller cities around the SLO area, San Luis Obispo. So we had a lot of that community activity, but all those communities would recognize that and identify as being a SLO resident, So what I did is I made this tag or this Instagram page, SLO food or SLO giveaways. I think that's what it was, SLO giveaways. So, and what I did is I started going to restaurants and I started buying gift certificates for $25 with my own money. And then I would eat, I would get a meal and then I would buy for $25 the gift certificate on top of my meal. I would take a picture of the meal or of the restaurant and I would hold a contest. I said, the first person to guess what restaurant I'm at actually gets this $25 gift certificate to this local restaurant. If you can guess this local restaurant by identifying the food or identifying, something local, like only a local would know, and I didn't go to McDonald's or Wendy's or Denny's. I went to local spots, So I got really good traction with this because I was giving stuff away, right, with my own money. Eventually I grew it to the point where these restaurants were actually donating the gift cards. And then I started expanding into clothing stores, like local stuff, local skate shops, local different stuff that was really local and niche, and networking and enjoying that because so a couple things happened here. It's an interesting story, and I hope you are enjoying this. It's an interesting story because a couple things happened here. One, I was getting reach locally just from that Instagram page with people that I wasn't reaching with my tile and stone account, because all types of people like free stuff, right? And it's a local effort, all this good stuff. So I was getting reach, getting in front of people who maybe want to buy tile, because in the description, I said, this is sponsored by Miller Tile and Stone. And I'm also a licensed realtor, so I also had a real estate page. So then I put and Miller Real Estate or whatever that was at the time. So you can see what I'm talking about here, where I created a marketing brand completely different from my tile brand, and my tile brand and my real estate brand sponsored the giveaway page. And so I was connecting with people, connecting with local businesses. And yes, I did pick up some work that way. So that's how I want you to think outside the box when it comes to trying to generate leads and work from things like Instagram. LinkedIn's another great strategy as well for connecting with professionals. LinkedIn's done a great job. Everybody in the world is on there. And because it's less noisy, you can actually connect with local architects, designers, whoever you're trying to get in front of. You can connect pretty easily there. You send them a DM or connect with them. And because it's less noisy than some of the other platforms, and it is a little bit older platform, if you're trying to connect with an older crowd, 50s or 60s people will be on there. All right. So I hope that gave you some value there. What's up, Anthony? Thanks for being here. We got Matthew Taylor in here. Matthew, thanks for joining, man. I'm loving what you're doing on Instagram, and I'm loving your new Facebook page as well. And truly a spirited, energetic guy here who loves tile. I love it. And Marcus Aranda is in here. He says really good stuff. Thanks for watching. We got 5 people watching on Instagram too. So thanks for the support, guys. I truly appreciate it. The next question I want to address is, we've got time for this question. Should you be adding tools to your estimates? Should you add it? So if you're about to do a job, and this was actually crossed my mind recently when someone posted a shower, they had bid for 3x6 subway tile or something of that nature. Maybe it was 12x24, something, typical. And lo and behold, they show up that day and the homeowner or the client says, I took that tile back. I wasn't wanting that. And I have this, I think it was 2 foot by 4 foot. So 24 inches by 48 inches tile that I want you to install instead. And he was asking, what he should charge extra for that. And then he didn't even have the proper cutting board for it. His cutting board maxed out at 24 inches. So he was using a grinder in combination with the 24. Maybe it was Ricky. Ricky said, I did on the last job. Was that your job I'm talking about? So I thought that buying a new tool and adding that to that job was the perfect example of when, in my mind, it's completely justified to add a tool to the estimate, to the job cost, because that was something you did not own. And it's not something that you're installing every day. You're not installing 24 by 48 tile. And so I would say that in those cases, it's completely justified and even easily explained to the client if you want. But if you don't want to explain it, I mean, I don't think you really have to. But if you wanted to have that open conversation, hey, I don't have the tool to cut this. You switched it up last minute, and I'm going to have to go out and buy this tool. It's $1,000 cutter. On top of that, I'm upcharging you $500. Or maybe you want to say, like, I had a buddy who used to have all these nice tools, multiple sets of levels. He said, well, I just asked my client to pitch it in and I give him a really good deal. I don't know, however you want to pitch that. But I honestly believe that it is perfectly justifiable to put the cost of specialty tools and tools that you will burn up on the job. It's 100%, in my opinion, and I know people are going to give me their opinions on this. Believe me, over the years on the John Bridge forums, there used to be a long thread, and it was full of opinions on whether or not to charge the client for a tool. If you're going to burn up a saw blade on their job because it's so large, or it's a specialty saw blade, like a glass cutting blade, and those don't last that long, or whatever the case is, by all means, I would say, charge for the tool. Yeah, we got Wild Hair Workshop on Instagram says, I always charge for the tools on every single job. So I like that, it's our for specialty tools. So in my mind, that's justifiable. I know other people will say no. Jacob says new blades, for the jobs. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think, letting the client pay for specialty tools like blades and stuff is completely justifiable. The other way to do this is honestly to just build it into your overhead costs. Say, hey, look, last year I spent $1,000 on new tools. Every so often we have to replace our tools. If you're replacing a DeWalt saw every 5 years at, let's just say $800, let's call it $1,000 every 5 years, that's $200 a year. That's $20 a month. So $20 a month overhead costs on a new DeWalt saw. Then you've got blades. Hey, I go through 5 blades a year. That's $500. That's $50 a year on blades. So now you're up to $250 overhead tool costs. So that's the way you break it down. So all these are legitimate overhead stuff. So however you want to figure it, you've got to figure out replacing your tools in your overhead or direct to the job. Those are the two different ways, either direct to the job or overhead. Those are the two different ways that, yes, you ultimately need to be charging for every single job. However you want to, put it in your head and justify it in your head is up to you. But it is a legitimate business expense. And technically, most people would say that's overhead. And I agree, it is overhead. But however, it's simpler and whatever gets you a little bit more profit going quickly. So let's see here. We've got a couple questions here. Nick says, I would think portion of the tool costs. Otherwise, the argument could be made they own the new tool. I've heard it before, Nick. I agree. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer here, but I would like your feedback, Nick, on what I just said about it being a legitimate overhead expense to the business. Now, my cell phone is a legitimate overhead expense to the business. Those are things that I need to be charging for when I charge per job. They don't own my cell phone, but because I have it for work or I need new tires on my work vehicle. I mean, all these things that you have to be calculating into your overhead. That's where a lot of people's profit gets eat up. A lot of people think they're really profitable when they're not, because they believe they're really doing good with profit numbers because of the large number, but because their tool expense, their cell phone expense, their truck expense, all this stuff is eating up their profit, and that's where your profit's going. So honestly, you really have to be looking up to all that stuff. We got a couple more comments here, and then we're going to get to Ron Nash, pull him in here. Yeah, Tile by Design says every 100 jobs you're going to be replacing your equipment. Anthony says, tack on an extra 50 to $100 for random tools every week. Nick says, I don't disagree. I was just thinking of objections to it. Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to have, some different objections. So let's bring Ron in here and see what he says. Ron, how are you?
Hi. Sorry, I've been
You're fine, man. You're right on time. We're having fun. We're getting some good conversation about overhead costs, tool costs direct to the job or not. This is always something that's fun to debate in the groups.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I think I can hear myself for some reason.
Hang on 1 second. You know what? I think I need to change a setting on my end.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's try that. How's that?
Better. Yay. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. It's so weird to hear yourself talk back. I hate that.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It was a setting on my end. And when I'm solo, that's the correct setting, but I forgot I was bringing you in.
No. Well, thank you for that, by the way. So I was in a meeting and I didn't get a chance to pick up the beginning, but I liked where I was listening. You guys were talking about maybe factoring in how much overhead you should put onto a job. That's always a great idea. I believe in that concept for sure. You want to definitely make sure that you're not only that, you're taking into account the future needs of the business, right? So your current work is paying forward. It's paying for future work. And that's very smart. That's a way to have a business that's around longevity wise,
Yeah. The Instagram cannot hear Ron.
Instagram can't hear me, huh?
Well, I'm hacking it in. Instagram doesn't like people going live other than if you just open up the app directly. And I didn't think about that. They can hear my mic. I've got it kind of hacked in. I apologize, Instagram. I'm trying to think of a quick fix.
Go to Facebook
one. It's still a work in progress with the Instagram thing.
Well, you're probably not gonna learn anything from me anyway. So
Instagram, if you have to hop off, I understand it's probably going to be boring. I will put this in the podcast episode in about 3 weeks time. You'll be able to hear this.
So Luke, we haven't talked in a while.
I know. How are you?
I'm doing great. We are absolutely just going crazy right now. We're really working hard to fulfill all the orders that are coming in, and it's such an interesting thing. We're way off the map as far as like what do you do in this time right now? There's no business book that you can find that you can follow. So a lot of what we're doing is we're going back to basics. When things get chaotic, go simple, right?
Yeah.
And we're just going simple, and thankfully it's been really working. And I got just great team people. That's the big thing. You really don't realize how good your people are until you really stress test the organization, so to speak. And everyone's organizations are being stress tested right now. So you're able to see how you guys are financially, how you are human resources wise, how you are, it's really, how's your cash reserves? All these things are being tested right now on everybody's business. There's no business in America right now that's not in the same boat. And so because of that, it's kind of like a bonding thing too. I'm working with people and trying to help out, and I can do some things to help them. They're doing things to help us. It's a good thing. Really is.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I know they got you running over there. Busy.
Yeah, I'm running.
Busier than ever. I got kind of jealous of everybody. I mean, that sounds terrible. I shouldn't even say
Oh well.
I was doing the TVST thing, or TSVT, so working really, hard. And honestly, I kind of burnt myself out, and I took a couple weeks off, not completely, but I did lay around for a little bit. And, I heard a good saying today. I messed my routine up, Ron, is what I did. That completely messed my routine up. in both directions. I was too busy, and then I was too relaxed, and then I got depressed and confused, and then now I feel like now I'm getting back into it, and it's just one of those things. So balance is better. Balance
is always better, and it's actually more difficult too.
Yeah.
it's humans don't moderate very well.
Right.
Either you go towards an extreme of being ultra workaholic, or an extreme of just Netflix binging 24 hours a day. It's very difficult to keep a balance. That for me is where I fall back to my flow, my schedule, my rocks of things that keep me moving forward. I'm a big believer in David Allen's Getting Things Done. It's as a basic platform of getting things done. And then in that, he talks a lot about having reliable systems, and so I'm a big believer in reliable systems. While I'm not perfect, I mean, everything's a process. I can say that, a lot of the good things that happen in my life are because I have a system to catch opportunity, and I have a system that makes me kind of stay on the ball.
Yeah.
Otherwise I don't even know where this has been really challenging. So I don't even know where I'd be.
Yeah.
I really don't.
So just stay with the system. I mean, that right there is a great tile money tip. Stay with it. What else you got for it, Ron? Have you been pondering any tips?
Yeah. So right now, here's the thing. So right now, there is a saying, okay, and Warren Buffett is credited with it, and it says, when people are afraid, be greedy, and when people are greedy, be afraid. Right. So you can take that into a lot of different ways. But, when you start talking about Warren Buffett, I think he was, meaning, when markets are crazy, right, now's an opportunity for everyone. Okay. And I think it's so common for people to lock themselves down because they see bad macroeconomics, right? Macroeconomics are going to be bad. We're not going to see good macroeconomics for a while, folks. This is what we're under now. And so now is a great time to start networking, building networks, building that business of processes, building that business that can withstand some of the fluctuations that are going to happen in the market. They will happen in the market. So now is when you're having conversations about, how do I bid work? Do I plan on having a little bit of overhead that I put in the side? Do I have a rainy day fund that I make sure I have access to? These are all fantastic questions. You can't get to those questions until you start systems that help you, look at your numbers, know your numbers. How many times have we said to people, you got to know your numbers? You got to know,
right.
I was talking to a contractor just the other day. I was saying, I said, how many jobs do you do before you do a complete cost review? And, I said it that way to see if he was like, oh, I do one every 10 jobs, or I do one every 1 job. It turns out great company, big company never does cost reviews, never reviews how'd you do on that last job? And where are the holes in the boat? How do you fill the holes in the boat? And so I guess to sum it up, systems, processes, know where your numbers are, and then make sure you have a routine that makes it so that you plan, brief, execute, debrief, improve. Where in the market do you want to niche out? Now it's time to be greedy. It's time to get really, really laser focused on your specialty, on what you want to be known for, your brand. What are you going to do when you own that market? If the market is in your area, if there are 500 high-end Bazaza glass tile jobs, how do you stand out to get 499 of those, right? And just say, I really love this type of work. Right. And I want to make it so I'm known. I'm going to go grab market share. Right now, be greedy. Go grab market share. Now, a lot of people say, well, you get market share by discounting. I'm just going to be the cheapest, right? On every single thing I want to do, I'm going to make it so that I'm cheap. I'm the lowest cost provider, those kind of things. Now, being a low cost provider of goods is not a strategy. It is a strategy, and people do it. And by the way, companies do it. But here's the thing. You got to know the devil you're going to dance with. And the devil you're going to dance with, if you decide to be the market leader in costing and price, is that you're stripping out every single thing that you can strip down. And I've worked in businesses, very short, by the way, so I'm not like a long career in them, but I've worked with businesses that wanted to drive that direction. And I'm telling you, the sacrifices and discipline in order to survive in that are immense. You have to have ultra discipline because you don't have the revenue coming in to provide the fudge factor. Sometimes you need fudge factor in business because things happen. It's projects. Projects are chaotic at best. So,
Right.
you gotta have that in there. So there's one thing. But if I were going to do it right now, and I asked you a question, I hope you do answer. If I were going to do it right now, I'd be looking at niche markets. I'd be looking at really, really tooling up to make myself stand apart in something that's unique and different. If it's large format, super large, super format installations, like there's thin porcelain tiles, something like that. If you find that niche right now and you just drive that niche, what you're doing is you're muting a lot of the market forces, right? So if you have just your medium business, run-of-the-mill business that you do pretty much a little bit of everything, well, you're opening yourself up to more of that market decline, right? If you niche out, you're basically targeting where you're marketing, you're targeting where your efforts are, and the bigger part is you're able to be laser focused on skill set, equipment, all these things that are required that can set you apart and create a very profitable niche for your business. And I love that idea. And I'll even give you some ideas. So let's say you're a contractor who does residential work. Okay. Well, if last year you were able to land 10, I'm just going to use round numbers if you don't mind.
Please,
if you last year were able to nail 10 jobs, and boy, this next year looks like it's going to be pretty tough, and the marketing coming, the calls, the phones ringing, all those things, it seems to be slowing down a little bit. All those things. I would be looking at supplementing and niching out something that I can make the 8 jobs that I might win, if you say it's going to be a 20% decline, those 8 jobs that I might win, I want those jobs to equal now 12 jobs last year. You follow what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So I'm still planning on growth. I'm still planning on market share growth. But because I know my numbers and because I know my market, now I know what additional niches to try to add to my business as marketing efforts in order to grow my business in a way in a downed economy. So that's just one, by the way, there's there's books this thick of ideas. This is just one single example. Another one that I've been doing and Latticrete has been providing opportunities for are add different areas of the residence. If you're a residential guy, add different areas to your work. So we have a great product. You guys could take a look at it, see if it's for you. But you look at the Spartacoat line. You look at adding a garage floor coatings business to your deal. I'm telling you, I've got garage floor guys that in one day they go in, they do the garage floor, they walk with $3,000.
Yeah.
Done. And so let's think about this. So now you have an additional business that compared to tile is much easier to get into. I mean, tile is much more difficult in my opinion. Of course, I'm going to have some coatings guy call me and yell at me for saying that, but obviously you can get into super technical coatings, but I'm talking about just the basics, get entry level chip garage floors that you can start adding to a business relatively quickly. If you know how to do prep on tile, you are already mostly there. And so come to a seminar, add another line of business. Now you're going to the builders that are you're talking to or the customers that you're selling to, and you're saying, hey, just so you know, we also provide this. Let's talk about pimping out your garage. What do you think about that? Understanding that your core customer right now, there are people with money, no matter what the market is, people are spending money. As long as you have a competitor, you have market to get. If all your competitors are out of business, that might be a good indication that, things are totally dried up. Okay. So there you go. There's a little tip. I don't know whether it's super useful for people, but I think that people that are doing that. And by the way, because I believe in tile money, I definitely do not want to just make this about Laticrete. This is just concepts. If it's not Laticrete coatings that you guys get into, go find somebody. I'm just giving you an idea.
Yeah, I recently had first of all, I think those are two very applicable examples. The one example I actually experienced, the first example where you know you're going to work less, or your goal is to work less to do more jobs, but to increase profit. I actually did that in my business successfully.
Yeah.
I took the amount of jobs that I had one year, and the average job, was I sold at X, let's say just $5,000. And so I said, I'm working way too hard to have that many jobs out there, that much liability. And the average one is only, I said, let's bump it up. And so the next year, I think my average job was like 7,500. I did less jobs. I had less stress. I had more time at home. And so that's a very applicable job model for anybody, but especially the smaller contractor with maybe an apprentice or a couple of people or by himself. That's something that I really encourage small companies to do. That's probably, a very intelligent thing to do. The second example, I really like that example as well with the garage coatings. In fact, did I miss that webinar? I signed up for it. I don't think
we have them ongoing. So they're ongoing all the time. So, keep your eye open. Laticrete Inside Track, we have them posted there. Keep your eye open. Yep.
Yeah. And Joe backs it up. He says, thanks to you guys, I'm doing less and making more. I love it.
Dude, Luke, that was our vision in the beginning. That's our vision in the beginning. If Joe makes all this worthwhile, that's exactly why I participated in the beginning. And I know that's why you started this whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the deal. The business of tiling is a very good business. If anybody tells you it's not, I don't know what they think, how they think business works.
Right.
It's very good. Yeah. You've got a lot of opportunities. And by the way, I use coatings as an example, but I could go back and say, why don't you add, really robust expertise in cleaners and sealers and stone restoration?
Right.
I mean, there's fantastic things right at your fingertips. That's my point. Right at your fingertips.
Yeah, I'll throw out another example that's not a Laticrete product, since you, Damian Ryan, is learning how to plaster shower walls. I guess there's this new thing.
Yeah, cool.
Shower walls. I think that's cool. You still have the tile prep. You still have the tile floor, most likely probably some bathroom tile, but the walls are different. They're plaster. It's a different look. I almost hate, because this is tile money, I almost hate giving examples like that, but it's a reality. And ultimately this is a business podcast. And like Ron said, Damian's still going to set tile. He's just now got this other thing that he offers as well.
Well, and my thing, what I like about these things is think about as a customer dealing. So take Damian. So Damian, I go to him and I say, hey, you know what? Hey, I want a cool shower. Mm-hmm. The portfolio winds up showing expertise, right? Hey, I can do an awesome glass shower for you. I could do literally, have you seen carved plaster? People are doing carved plaster. They're doing all these other things, so there's all these other things that you can add to your business that just make you so much more. And you should be looking at being so much more than just a tile guy. Oh, he's just a tile guy. He's just a tile guy. That's the best tile guy I've met because he's got this, and I think that those are ways that, man, if I were to go work for somebody who's in this business, I'd be saying we've got to just broaden our scope. Let's widen our scope. Mm-hmm. Let's make those 8 jobs equal 12. Let's do less, make more, and then heck, to blend this tip in and make it really, really wander. You got to take care of yourself right now. Take care of yourself right now. And, stress is all over the place right now. And so if you don't have a stress management program, you're missing it. You're missing out. You really need to, I don't care what that is. I don't care what it is, but I need you to have something that if I were to talk to you and say, how do you deal with stress? You have something to say. I go on a walk. I walk my dog. I hunt. I hang out. In the forest. I don't care what it is. It really doesn't matter. You could meditate on the beach every day. Great. But I need you to be able to say, this is how I manage my stress, because the world is getting twisted and just under a pressure cooker right now.
Yeah.
And if you think you're above that and it's not affecting you, then you're not a human being. Everybody's getting affected. I've noticed myself believe me, I've noticed myself. I'm going to go, oh man, take a breath. Why are you so upset? Why are you so ratcheted up right now? And what I don't realize is that I'm kind of mirroring the insanity in the world. And you got to be able to manage your stress.
No. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are dealing with right now. I talked about this in yesterday's episode that just launched last night. But a lot of people are dealing with too much work now. They're saying now all my clients want me to come now, but these people were pushing me off due to COVID.
Our orders are showing that, by the way. Our orders. Remember when I said? You remember what I said, Luke? Dude, I said when the smart people, when they come out of the blocks, this is going to be crazy. And it is happening. It is happening. We're getting crushed in some places right now.
And take advantage of it. Like Ron said, look, when people are, what did you say? When people are afraid?
When people are afraid, be greedy.
Yeah.
When people are greedy, be afraid. That's Warren Buffett, man. They don't call him the Oracle for nothing.
And honestly, like it might not last that long. So
no.
Those of you who have months and months of work, like raise those prices because, you have to think about the future. You have to think, well, what if this, what if that, so
if you're not studying negotiation and practicing negotiation right now, you're missing it. You're missing out. And if I was on anybody's board, I'd be looking at the balance sheet and I'd be looking for those rainy day funds. I'd be looking for those emergency funds. I'd be looking for, planning for the future funds. You definitely sock things away. Make sure you got a little cash in reserves just in case we hit turbulence again. Everything you're selling right now, got to be careful and just be conservative and build a business methodically. But Luke, I got to tell you, I'm loving it. I'm loving watching what's going on with Tile Money. Congratulations. You're building something awesome here. I just love it. I love the fact that, I feel like we've been talking about it for a long time and I see what's going on here. And I'm just so happy you've hit a market. You've hit a seam of people that really care about what you're doing. And I'm glad you're doing it. Really am.
Appreciate that, Ron. Appreciate you and everything you're doing. We've got people. We've got Chris Steinhaus just calling in, watching from Australia. He said they're busy. Awesome. We're reaching a worldwide, audience. Matthew Taylor, he's in the UK. We're really reaching a lot of people, and it is growing. And that's the only reason I'm still doing it. Honestly, it's an interesting thing to do this, and I'm enjoying it. I am enjoying it. Like everything, there's learning curves and things mentally I have to overcome. But
you didn't go to podcasting school?
I didn't go to podcasting.
You don't have a degree in that? Oh, you must not. Then obviously you're not good at it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ron, I'll let you go. Appreciate that tip. I am going to cover a couple more subjects. You asked me that question about which business or which direction I would do it if I had to do it all over again. So I'm going to answer that. And then Ken Hyde asked me what kind of head trash I deal with. So that's going to take the rest of the day, actually.
Hey, listen, you don't want to crack my skull open, boy. Eesh.
Yeah. It's, that's the most interesting thing. We all deal with it from the most high level CEO down to, the guy who doesn't have a job or,
well, financial things are tough. All of them. You never, it's like, you never get away from that. That's part of the struggle. If it was like, if it was super non-stress and anybody could do it, it was super easy, then the world's finances would look completely different. It's difficult. It's very hard. Yeah. And that's why I had to say the other thing. You got to worry about stress. You got to worry about your own noodle. Right. 90% of the stuff that you break and mistakes that you make are because you haven't been managing your mental state, and you're reactive, or you haven't thought about things ahead of time. I think that's a big thing too. But Luke, you're a good man. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me for the tip. I hope that I hope everybody who listens gets just one thing out of it and says, "Hey, I'm gonna try that." Even if it's going out to the woods and walking your dog and reducing some stress. Great, we just won. Okay.
I'm going to be going live weekly, maybe a couple times a week. So if you want to jump in for the tips, you're always welcome, Ron.
Let me know.
Easier. It makes it easier for me on the back end.
Awesome. And if anybody wants to ask any questions of me, I'm an open book, as you know. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And I just appreciate the support that we get from our customers. I got to tell you, I love our customers, man. They're some of our best friends. They're some of my best friends personally and professionally, and I'm so thankful that a lot of my friends are doing really well right now. Nice. And I do have some friends that are struggling. So I have to say, some people are struggling, and if you're struggling, that's kind of what I meant the beginning of this tip about. If you're not struggling and you're just going, balls to the wall, as the kids say, if you are, God bless. Focus on efficiencies. Bank a little bit of that money for a rainy day, just in case you need it. Tip from your Uncle Ron. You may not need it. I hope you don't. And if you don't, buy yourself a new truck next year.
Right.
And enjoy. Right.
Yeah. Right on.
All right,
Ron. Well, take care. Have a good week and a good weekend. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Luke. Much love, brother. See you.
All right, guys. So it's always good to hear from Uncle Ron. Really bringing the heat, bringing a lot of value to us, and again, truly appreciate Lady Creek's support on this endeavor of mine, and really they've added a lot to Tile Money Podcast in the Tile Money Facebook group as well. So I've got 2 more questions from the audience, unless a third one comes up here while I'm talking. Let me just check if any more questions came in. So just put them in the comments. But like I said, Kyle said, "What's the biggest head trash?" I think I'm gonna do that last. And and Ron actually asked me in the group when I announced the live here earlier today. Excuse me. He asked if I was going to start a tile business over again, what would I specialize in? And honestly, the first kind of things that ran into my head were the concrete coatings that he talked about. I've actually had my eye on those for years. I wanted to add that to my arsenal, but I never did. But because he said tile business, that's a hard one for me. I really have to think about my vision, about what I personally want. And that's how I want you to think about your businesses, is what do you personally want here? And what do you want to build? What do you want to grow? So for me personally, like I want to be off the tools. I don't really, it's not my thing. I've never really considered myself an artist, and I'm at the point now to where I'm 6'4". My body and my mental state when I'm installing tile are fairly poor. And I don't enjoy life after work when I'm installing tile all day, every day. So although when I do install tile, I do enjoy most handmade tiles, different stuff like that, rough, like Mexican tiles. I've worked with a lot of Mexican type stuff, like handmade stuff, imperfect stuff. It's kind of funny. Most tilers don't enjoy it. I do. So I was always thinking, if I was going to stay on the tools, I would specialize in custom handmade tiles. Now, the reality of it is today, because I don't even want to do that every day, I would do the LFT, the thin panels, the large format panels, gauge porcelain tile panels, whatever you want to call them, GPTP, right? The massive stuff. I would have to dive into that for a couple reasons. One, they're pushing it. These manufacturers and the tile industry as a whole are pushing it. They're doing the marketing for us. It's coming to a city near you, or is in your city, whether you want it to be or not. So it's already going to be there. Clients are already going to be questioning about it. They're going to be looking for installers. They're going to be looking for contractors who can specialize this. And it's newer, so there's not as many. And like Ron was saying, if you can grab that market share now, tool up, really, market yourself as the expert there, you could really build yourself a nice little business or large business, however you want to do it, being the specialty contractor who does the large format tile, the GPTP. And that's the direction I would have to go. I like it. I like the way it looks. There's a lot of easily sellable things about it, less grout joints. A lot of people don't like grout in the shower. So there's a lot of different upsells, easy selling points, topics to sell and charge more. So that's where I would go. I would do GPTP business, honestly, just for those reasons. And Chris says he's very interested. I'm very interested in panel installation. Also, even here in West Virginia, I've had a couple of clients ask about them. So yeah, it's just going to keep getting more and more. And Brad Denny says, come to Nashville and hang out with us on a project. I would love that, Brad. I would really enjoy that. Thanks for the invite. I'll probably take you up on that. I actually would like to do some video and podcasting stuff on projects. That would be really cool. And then we could sit down and talk about, why you came up with the price, the job, the different aspects of the job, business-wise, along with kind of some real-time footage. That would be fun. I'm actually going to try to make that happen this weekend with a good guy, Malcolm Campbell. He's down here in Orlando on a job, and it's a different kind of job. It's a commercial job. And I'm going to attempt to get my butt over there on Sunday and sit down and talk with him about that job and go get some pictures and some videos. So I'm gonna see if that can work out for me. So now Kyle asked me Ricky says the thin panels are super expensive compared to normal tile. You're right. They are big time. What's interesting about it, what I'm seeing is the value. If the value's in the client's mind, it doesn't matter. Price is not an objection, and if it's new and you can sell it, then they don't care. They're not gonna compare that. I mean, you can see this with bath fitters. You can see this with all these kind of newer, more gimmicky stuff that people sell, like bath fitters. They're selling at triple, quadruple the price that we tile installers install a shower because of what they offer. Their value is there for their clients. They found their client base. They offer financing, and they're in and out in a day. And that's what their clients value. So these clients will pay $10,000 for a plastic tub surround. You don't think they'll pay you can find the client who will pay $10,000 for a thin panel shower. You really can. They're out there. And honestly, like with today's technology, one thing I've been wanting to focus on is offering financing to your clients. A lot of people, poo-poo that and think that's a gimmick or think that's a bad thing. I think there's got to be, and I'm going to do some research for you guys, because there's got to be a way you can get have your cake and eat it too, right? Get paid, but yet your clients are actually paying the bank and paying the interest. There's got to be a company out there in this day and age who does that. And I've been seeing some ads, and I've been trying to reach out to some of these people to get them on the podcast. So, all right. So Kyle Hayden says, what's the biggest head trash that I personally deal with, and how do I deal with that? So, so for me, Kyle, honestly, this is the belief that this is money. This is money for me. It's a belief that I can't, or shouldn't earn a certain amount of money and go beyond that. I don't know why or where, I mean, I do know why and where. I'm not going to get into it, but honestly, like I keep, if I make X amount, I always, have a way in my head, without really understanding why or what's happening, I spend it or I lose it, or, this happens. And I always keep at this level that's comfortable for me. And that's a real problem, something that I am working on, and working on ways to get over that, because, it's complete, BS. So that's my head trash is believing that I'm not good enough to go to the next level, financially, believing that money is the root of all evil and things of this nature. And the fact of the matter is, those are all lies that I got installed in my head, from other people. And that's just, a personal thing that I'm working on. And once I realized that, I started working on that, and it's taking a while, but I'm making some headway with it. And so I think that's, common to a lot of contractors. I identify with a lot of tile contractors when they say things like, oh, you can't charge that. You're ripping your clients off. If I charge that much, I'd be a millionaire. All these little things they say. We all struggle with this. Richard says, same here. It's common for, we've all picked this trade for similar reasons because we're similar people. And so together we're all in kind of similar, head trash areas, right? I can't charge that much in my area. Oh, well, you can do that over there on that side of the coast, but I can't get that here. It's wrong to make it's wrong to make $100 an hour. It's wrong to make $200 an hour. I can't justify that to my client. All this stuff. When at the end of the day, it's not wrong to be wealthy. It's not wrong to make money. It's not wrong to charge what you want to charge. That's between you and your clients. That's between you and your clients. At the end of the day, if you're worth $500 an hour to them, that's their business, and it's their right to spend their money how they want. And Kyle says money is a tool. You're absolutely right. Money is a tool, and why shouldn't we all be millionaires? Well, honestly, like $1 million is pretty much the now getting to be like the standard. I know when we were growing up, it was like, oh, $1 million. But, these days with the way prices have gone up, and as contractors, it really takes a lot to run a business. It's shocking. When I interviewed Dirk Sullivan and talked to him about job costing and pricing, he said, honestly, it's just shocking how much this costs to do it right. And that's where I got to the point with my contractor business in California, the way the state on top of the federal taxes and the way, all the insurances and different things. It is just shocking how much it costs to build something and to do something. And that's why, the prices, when we talk about prices, when I interview or people are commenting in the group and they really know their numbers, it is shocking to contractors that don't know their numbers. And that's the difference. And when I realized that, a few years ago, when I realized that was the reality of what was going on, is my prices were where they are just because they had to be. And it was shocking the difference. And you get to the point where like, I can't explain why everybody's half of me without just saying like, the only thing that I can figure is they're cutting corners and they're not really running a business. And so when it gets to that point, you understand like, this is crazy. Like just to be a contractor, it does. And so that's it, just reading some charge what you want. Kobe says it's so true. Like, the kettle don't go on. Must be a UK joke or inside joke there. Not sure. So that's it. Richard says it's worth it if you have goals. If not, it's just a paper shuffle. Exactly. So what are we doing? You're building a business to succeed and to profit and to give back to your communities and to live the life that you need to live. So it's 5:45 here. I'm going to jump off the mic. Truly appreciate everybody staying in and taking part in the conversation. I really like this format where we're doing it together. Johnny says I'm in Charlottesville and been looking to open shop and only do large panels. I love the idea. To find the right clients, though, it's going to be a challenge. You can do it, Johnny. I love it, man. Keep in touch with me. Definitely let me know how that journey is going. Maybe we can schedule an interview and definitely talk about it anytime here for you. So, Matthew said, if they don't offer you a drink, the prices go up. That's right. Yeah, I get it. Put the kettle on. Yeah. Show some hospitality, huh? Good stuff there, Matthew. Anthony, you're welcome. It's my pleasure to be doing this. It's a privilege, and I'm enjoying it, and I'll continue to do it as long as people continue to see value. So thank you all again for joining me. I'm gonna hop off the mic right now and go spend some family time and get dinner. See what's on the stove. My lovely wife is cooking something tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. Hope you all have a great night and stay profitable out there, tile friends.